Hello friends, in this lesson we will have a look at different document modes and different color settings. The setting of color mode depends upon the usage of the document, that is, the medium for which it is being created. By default, Photoshop uses this RGB mode, that is red, green and blue. If we look at the channels, you can see this blue channel, the green channel and the red channel. The final output is given by mixing these red, green and blue intensities together. Now, if you are working for web, television or movies, anything that is going to be interactive, then you'll always use an RGB image because that is pretty much the standard for anything that is going to be displayed on a monitor. In RGB also, we have a few different options. Right now we are using an 8-bit image. You can see this 8 here. It means 8-bit. If I go to image mode, we have a few options available like RGB, Cmyk, lap color, multi-channel and some bit options also, 8 bits channel, 16 bits or 32 bits. 8 bits is the most common form used in about any image we see or download from the web or a digital camera. 99.9% of times you are going to work in an RGB 8-bit mode. 16 bits and 32 bits are used in very specialized situations such as raw images from a digital camera that is capable of capturing the raw images, or for some textures or maps that are to be used in a 3D application. We also have these options like grayscale, Cmyk, lap color, multi-channel. If we need to work in a completely grayscale mode, let's click it. Photoshop will ask if we want to discard all the color information. Yes, we want to discard all the color information. You can see here that it is now set to a grayscale 8-bit image. If you look at the channels, you can see that it only has a single channel gray, no red, green, blue channels. There are few other options in this mode which are no longer used now but are here for legacy purposes. I am not going to talk about all of these, but I wanted to show you the RGB, the grayscale, and the last one I want to show is the Cmyk color. Let me undo. Now let's go to image mode and Cmyk color. Okay, now if we go to the channels panel, you can see that there are different channels now. Since it is Cmyk, it means cyan, magenta, yellow and K stands for black. The intensities of all these colors make the Cmyk channel. Cmyk is used only for printing purposes. If your image is going to be printed for some magazine or for newspaper, then you should use Cmyk. So remember, the color mode for the web is RGB 8-bit and for printing is Cmyk. We can also set the color mode when we are creating a new document. From here you can set the color mode to RGB or grayscale, whatever you want, and the bit depth for 8-bit, 16-bit or 32-bit, whatever you want. Let's try to convert this image to a grayscale. There are lots of ways to do so. Some are destructive and some are non-destructive. Let's see some destructive methods. Again, we can go to image, mode and grayscale. Okay, but here we do not have any control over the colors because our entire document has been changed to grayscale. If we want to paint something, let's take a paintbrush and change this to red. If I want to paint something on this, we can't. It will paint gray. I'll undo. If we do not have enough undos left and we try to convert it to RGB again, you can see that it has converted it to RGB but could not retain the color values. Now if I paint with my brush, I can paint red because this is an RGB document, but the original colors are gone, they cannot be retrieved. Let me undo a few times. Another method is by making an adjustment from here, image, adjustments and hue saturation. If you bring this slider to -100, it will desaturate. But again, this is a destructive method. If you do not have enough undos left, you cannot get your original image back. I'll cancel it. These were the destructive ways, and as I told you, I don't like to work in a destructive way. So there are a few adjustment layers that can help us to get the desired effect. Simplest one is the hue saturation. Again, move this slider to -100 and our image is grayscale. At any point of time we can turn it off and on. We can go to our original image or we can play with the opacity. Cool. Let me delete this layer. Yet another adjustment layer is this black and white. It gives us a high level of control over different channels. We can brighten or darken a channel. Suppose I am darkening the red channel. The red areas will darken, or we can brighten the red areas, or we can play with the yellows, brighten them or darken them. There are many channels to play with, like so. Since black and white adjustment layer gives us a high level of control, my personal recommendation is to use it if you want to convert an image to grayscale. That's all for this lesson, friends. See you in the next lesson.